for Social Justice and our partners in the European Union and the rollout program of the British Council. Let me say that audit reforms is part of the larger framework of public finance management reforms. And this has been ongoing for so many years. It did not start today. If you recall, during Obasanjo's second term, we had reforms that led to the enactment of the Fiscal Responsibility Act, also led to the enactment of the Public Procurement Act. We also had reforms around Haiti. We had a lot of reforms in the budgeting process. But the last leg of the reforms is audit. Because if you start from the core circular, preparation of budgets, medium-term expenditure framework, medium-term sector strategies, up to budget implementation reports, and then you keep on moving, that at the end of the day, you must come to the stage where all you have done should be audited and reported upon, and feeding back into the cycle of public finance management. But unfortunately, this bill has suffered. It was passed before by the National Assembly under Obasanjo's regime, but somehow it was not signed. It fell through the cracks. In the last National Assembly, which is the 8th National Assembly, it was also passed by both chambers of the National Assembly, forwarded to the President. But quite unlike other bills that came back where the President indicated that he will not sign or giving his reasons for not assenting, or he will assent to the bill within section 58 of the Constitution, which gave him about 30 days. In the last return, there were 17 bills that were returned. This was not one of the bills, so there is no indication. The President did not say whether he will sign or he will not sign. But evidently, considering that the life of the last National Assembly has passed by the friction of time, there's no way you can bring back this bill again. Everything that is happening will have to start de novo. And so that is the challenge we have with the audit reform bill, which has been there for so many years and not much mileage we have got out of it. Therefore, we designed this program with about 3 key objectives. 1, to advocate for the enactment of the Federal Audit Service Commission bill into law, which is the actual name of the bill. To build the capacity of civil society organizations and the media to demand and monitor compliance of federal ministries, departments, and agencies of government with the extant audit regime. And 3, to support the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, public accounts committees, and ministry departments and agencies of government in the improvement of audit practice. So the key activities which we want to do within this context, that we are not just going to build the capacity of CSOs and do our usual things with the media and talk. We want to engage the National Assembly to see that this bill is returned to the National Assembly and that it is passed by the National Assembly. We are also interested in seeing that this time around, it's not going to be business as usual. We are going to engage the executive to see that the President is nudged to assent to the bill whenever it is passed. And then we are going to look at audit reports of the Auditor General of the Federation. What are the key issues? What are the key infractions? What are the key policy recommendations raised? And we are going to see how we can come in as civil society and the media, as professionals, to be able to help in implementing these audit reports. In that process, we are going to do a lot of work with the office and the PACs to ensure that these audit reports, the recommendations don't just stand there. Because what has happened in the past is that PAC will finish its report in a shelf, or the Auditor General will finish its report in a shelf. Every year you have a repetition of the same audit misdemeanors. So the key activities will include stakeholder dialogue for the design of an advocacy strategy to engage key stakeholders in the executive and legislature, which is why we are here today, the first part of it. The second one is that we are going to have an advocacy engagement with key stakeholders. influential offices, persons and institutions on audit reforms. This will include the Office of the Auditor General, the Public Accounts Committee in the Senate and in the House of Reps, professional associations, key influential officials in the executive, media advocacy, print, electronic, social and digital, for the enactment of the audit bill and other audit reforms, including compliance with the recommendations of the Auditor General of the Federation and the PSC. Capacity building workshops for civil society organizations, not less than 2 key CSOs will be trained per state and the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. We are going to do a lot of freedom of information requests to MDAs based on published audit reports to ensure compliance with audit recommendations. We are also going to use what lawyers call mandamus applications on MDAs to ensure compliance with public duties, audit duties. We are also interested in preparation of policy briefs. One of the things we'll be arguing for is for the improvement of the funding of the Office of the Auditor General and follow up on budget advocacy. We discovered that the office is poorly funded, and there's no way such an important office will be poorly funded and you expect very beautiful results. First of all, we are convinced that this office should be one of the key anti-corruption offices in Nigeria. That if the Auditor General of the Federation does it work very well, it can facilitate the work of the EFCC, the ICPC, and every other one. Because the difference between this office and others is that somehow it is not a political office. It is a core civil service office where you have tested professionals, chartered accountants, auditors, lawyers, all kinds of professionals who sit down and do their work. When they're auditing, if they look at the documents, it has not shown you did what you're supposed to do in accordance with the law or financial regulations, they send you an audit query to say, please clarify, please explain. They give you enough time to come back to them. And when you come back to them with explanations, they will dispassionately review what you have said vis-a-vis what the laws and policies says and come forward with a recommendation. And after their recommendation, it still goes to the Public Accounts Committee for them to look at it a second time. So before recommendations pass through the Auditor General to the Public Accounts Committee and comes out, you have seen very detailed and non-political consideration of the facts and the figures. So if this office is properly energized, it can help the anti-corruption work, which we talk about every day. So that's why we are saying they need to be properly funded, and other policy briefs that will make sure that the audit office becomes very, very effective. Then we are also going to do analysis and simplification of you have moved further than I did. Analysis and simplification of key findings of published audit reports. You know, audit reports are usually very lengthy, more than 1,000 pages, looking very technical. We are going to use infographics and simple English to bring it down to so that people can begin to key in and understand exactly what is being talked about. Further, we are going to be attending Public Accounts Committee meetings and engagements with the PSC. Let me tell you one story, which I had and which I have confirmed, that the Public Accounts Committees of the legislature is just a committee like every other committee. Although it's a constitutional committee, it's the only committee in the legislature that is found in the Constitution. Now, when a committee in the House or Senate finishes its work, it is supposed to come back and bring this work to the Committee of the Whole House for adoption. It is only when it's been adopted that it now becomes the report of the committee of either the Senate or the House of Representatives. But since 1999, the work of the Public Accounts Committees in both the Senate and the House of Reps, at no time has it been brought to the plenary, to the full House. None of them have been adopted as the report of either the Senate or the House. So you can say their work is input. So we are thinking that we need to start attending PSC meetings and see what they are doing, and then also assist them in whatever way we can as civil society. You know what? PSC meetings or what they do even in the Auditor General's office is not that interesting or sexy for civil society and for the media, because it's like you are not talking of money. You are just thinking of somebody has already taken the money, revising some documents. So it's not just like as juicy as any other thing. So indeed, the Phillips Committee on the Reform of Public Finance Management under Obasanjo's regime talked about the Auditor General's office as like Siberia. You know, it's not a place where people see money. It's not a place where people want to go because there's nothing interesting to them except to be shuffling papers and documents. We want to change that perception. We want to become more involved so that we can also assist in making these things public. Advocacy roundtables for the implementation of all these reforms. And a very interesting one, we want to work with the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation to design an audit compliance assessment reporting template, which will be served on MDAs, and the most competent ones who have done very well, we are going to have a very big show early next year, where all the MDAs will be there. If the president is, if we will invite the president, if it's not chance, the vice president or anybody can come. For there to be an award, the Auditor General will be there to give an award to the most audit compliant MDAs. It doesn't have to be money, it's a plaque. It's a recognition that these MDAs complied most with the Auditor General's recommendations, or they found fewer violations or infractions of the law and public policy in their MDA. So that is what we are going to be doing over the next 1 year. In terms of deliverables, hold on. We are not thinking of doing this thing alone as CSG. We are thinking of doing it from the platform of the Citizens One platform. We want to establish an audit section, and that's why we are saying we are going to train 2 CSOs per state. And we are not hoping that this is going to stop at the federal level, because anybody who is trained goes back to his state. We expect the person or group to be able to begin to do something even if it's at the state level. So the deliverables which are key is that the Federal Audit Service Commission bill will have been passed by the 9th National Assembly and assented to by the President. This looks like a tall order, but it is up to us to agree whether it is beyond us or it is what we can do. The second one is not less than 75 CSOs and the media acquire greater capacity through training on audit fit and good practices and are intervening for the improvement of the Nigerian federal audit regime. Not just acquiring capacity, but actively intervening. Third, MDAs become more compliant with audit demands through timely submission of audited accounts, response to audit queries. We have resources to do not less than 40 freedom of information requests and follow-ups in court about implementation of audit recommendations. We also have resources to do not less than 30 mandamus applications. Mandamus is in law an order of court mandating an agency or public officer to perform a public duty. So we consider compliance with the Auditor General's recommendations a public duty which should be complied with by all MDAs. If you recall, the President even said that audit queries should be responded to within 48 hours. That's the presidential directive. But whether this is being kept is something we are not sure about, because the Auditor General in his last report still complained that many MDAs are not responding to the queries he gave. Now, competition among MDAs to perform one another, best performance will be recognized. And then we're also thinking about improved funding of the Office of the Auditor General. That's what we need to get out of all these policy briefs. And remedial actions will follow infractions of the rules of public finance management presented in audit reports. Audit issues will be raised to the front corner of national discourse. That's why we have the media here. We are thinking that very soon, audit issues will no longer be discussed when only the Auditor General releases the reports. We want those live television shows to be discussing what are the key issues that are in these reports and how can they help and facilitate the anti-corruption regime of the present government. Well, incidentally, this project is for 12 months, subject to our finding new resources to do much more work beyond the 12 months. So, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Center for Social Justice and our supporters and sponsors in the Rule of Law program of the British Council and the European Union, I want to welcome you to this August gathering, rainy August gathering. We should be on August break. But I don't know whether the revolution caused the rain. Whether it is the security people who sent down the rain so that we wouldn't have a revolution today. I don't know whether any of you wanted to be part of that revolution. So can we ask if there's a representative of Roland around to give a goodwill message?